11 people have now been confirmed killed, many of them of gunshot wounds. We are asking, why hasn't the army been called in? As in areas, there is still a fact where mobs are roaming despite prohibitory orders, the police are outnumbered. Look what happened in Delhi in 1984. The army was called in 4 days after the violence began. Hundreds of innocent Sikhs were massacred till then. In Gujarat, the army was deployed on day 3 after violence began. Again, hundreds were killed. 3 days on, no army deployed, army not on standby. The Home Ministry, the Chief Minister says the police can't handle it. But why is it that 11 lives have been lost waiting for the police to handle it? We'll be focusing on that with our special guest. But let's go across to our journalists. Just an information coming in, Saurabh Shukla reporting this. Saurabh, we're just hearing that now that the cops are trying to clear some of these areas where there were people sitting, protesters, both for and anti. What's the latest information you have?
So as of now, Sonia, when we are speaking, right now they've cleared Jafrabad metro station where anti-CAA protests were happening. In fact, on Sunday they've occupied, the women have occupied that whole metro station, and now it has been cleared by Delhi police, and we can see in the visuals the heavy force deployed there. Now Delhi police is moving towards Mojpur where pro-CAA protests were happening, and there are still the clashes were happening just a few hours back. So they're clearing that place also. So now, according to my sources in Delhi police, they are saying that they were refraining because of Donald Trump's visit, but now they are going to they'll try and clear whole area and this whole night.
Right, so that's an important point. You're saying that President Trump will be leaving tonight, so the police likely to take more action then, and paramilitary forces. We also have thousands of paramilitary forces in North-East Delhi. But Saurabh, you and Arvind, two of the reporters joining us tonight, and amongst all the other journalists today as well, journalists who've been attacked and beaten for doing their job. And most worryingly, because these became communal clashes, actually being asked to prove your religion. So let's just hear from you first what actually happened. I'd like to go across to you, Arvind, first. What happened? You were punched and beaten. Tell us about it.
Sonia, around 1 o'clock we were covering a violence that was reported at Karaval Nagar, which is the same North-East Delhi. After covering that particular violence, we started moving towards Gokulpuri region. That's when we got an information saying that a group of men trying to destroy a building near Mita Nagar. So we tried going towards that particular location. When we reached that particular location, we saw a group of men, a mob actually trying to destroy a religious site at that very particular right next to the flyover. So when we started moving towards, we saw 2 policemen coming along with some 10 to 15 young men holding sticks. They were walking towards that very own religious site. So we followed them. All of a sudden, we saw a group going inside that particular building, and then they started destroying. They started damaging that particular property. So when I started taking visuals, a group of men, they started attacking us. Thanks to our colleague Saurabh Shukla and also to a colleague from another channel, that is Runjun Sharma. Both of them saved me from that very angry mob. The one very important question what they have been asking me is that they asked me to delete the video, and in fact when one of our colleagues came for rescue, in fact that particular person, the mob who actually started attacking me, they asked for my religion. In fact only after our colleague answered that particular question, they took him out, and then they insisted that I should delete all the videos, and they also threatened me that we should not report about this incident. They
in
said
fact,
that
Arvind, that's really the most shocking bits. Just to sum up, a young woman reporter, Saurabh, who actually, let me say it because Saurabh won't say it, Saurabh could have run away. He stayed back when he saw Arvind had fallen on the ground, that a mob had surrounded him with lathis. They were going to hit Arvind with lathis. He could have been seriously injured. The lathi hit Saurabh instead. And Saurabh, I mean, I find it horrible that I even discussed this, but they took your ID card and they asked, and they saw your Rudraksh, and they saw from your ID card that you were a Brahmin from UP, and that's what saved you.
That's what it was. Like when they started beating Arvind, so they were throwing punches. In fact, I saw a few of them carrying lathis, and they were about to hit Arvind with the lathi. In fact, they were targeting his head. Then I try and just save him, and that lathi landed on my back, and then they thrown some punches on my back, and later then they said, "Ki, who are you?" Then they saw my Rudraksh and showed them Rudraksh that now I am a Hindu and practicing Hindu. They saw my ID card. They saw that my surname is a Brahmin surname, and later they stopped beating Arvind, and they were beating me as well. And a colleague, Runjun Sharma from CNN, she was also there pleading them to leave her. Then they made sure that I'm a Brahmin. They checked my identity. They made me say certain religious slogans as well. I said it, and they deleted all the videos from my phone. and Arvind also, and then they let us go after 15-20 minutes.
Saurabh, Arvind, thank you so much for being here. I really, as I said, we salute your bravery, not just you, but all the journalists out there from every channel covering that story, because this is how India knows what is actually happening tonight. Joining me today, our guests from across the spectrum. I'm joined by General Raj Kadyan. I'm also former Deputy Army Chief. I'm also joined by leaders from across the spectrum. I'm joined by Yogendra Yadav, apolitical at this point, looking at, has been to these areas. I'm also joined by Raghav Chadha, newly elected MLA from AAP, also by Mamta Kale of the BJP, and T.R. Kakkar, former police commissioner. I really don't know where to start, but I think I'll have to start with Raghav and Mamta, both of you, not just as spokespersons of your parties, but as young political leaders living in Delhi. In Delhi of 2020, we ask people to prove their religion. We ask people to show their Rudraksh. What exactly is happening? Raghav Chadha, and the political class response seems to be silence from the Prime Minister and Home Minister, prayers from the Aam Aadmi Party, and tweets by the Congress Party. Raghav.
Well, first of all, Sonia, the scenes that we see on the streets of, if you could kindly get the echo corrected, please. The scenes that we see on the streets of Delhi are unprecedented, distressing, and I wasn't around in 1984 since I wasn't born, but I'm told that the scenes are as horrific as the 84 genocide that we saw in and around Delhi. The government of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, as well as the Aam Aadmi Party, is doing all that it can. The entire might of the civil administration is on the streets. The district magistrates, the SDMs have been deployed in the affected areas. Peace marches are being carried out by the Aam Aadmi Party MLAs. All leaders and MLAs of the Aam Aadmi Party are speaking to community leaders, going door to door, requesting people to not get into provocation and maintain calm, peace and harmony. The fire department has been instructed to work with utmost alacrity, and the working of the fire department is being monitored by the Chief Minister's office. Every hospital in the area that has been affected and in the neighboring area has been asked to set up relief teams so that every person who's injured and needs some sort of medical treatment is given that treatment and the attention that it requires. The Chief Minister himself is going from hospital to meet the injured, to meet the families of those who've lost their lives.
But Raghav, this is a question I'm going to ask
to the people to calm down and relax.
Raghav Chadha, this is a question I'm going to ask both you and Mamta Kale. The Chief Minister, because you've outlined what the Chief Minister has done so far. I saw the prayers at Rajghat also when you were there, but that's the point. Why is it, and this would have happened at a time, we talk of Mahatma Gandhi also on the 150th birth anniversary, why is there no political leader of stature who's actually gone to these areas to try and bring about peace? Why is it being left to district magistrates? You said that the people are telling you that it's like what happened in 1984. Why hasn't the army been called out when there are reports which your MLAs have said that the police, either they want enough cops, or as a reporter said, when there were policemen, they were actually helping one side?
Right. So I was about to come to this, Sonia. Couple of quick points. First of all, yes, if you could please get the echo corrected, it's really troubling me.
Yes, I'll just get them to fix that echo.
The fact that there is I'm told that the strength of the Delhi police is 84,000, and if 84,000 police personnel are unable to control the situation, then certainly it calls for deployment of army or of the paramilitary forces. I think there is a standard operating procedure that needs to be carried out in situations like these. You know, there are flag marches by the police, there are preventive arrests made by the police, rooftop duties are being done, are to be done. Those who are perceived to be anti-social are to be roughed up, are to be rounded up. Preventive custody is to be sort of done. None of these things are being done by the Delhi police. In fact, as of this morning, the adequate force of the police that should have been there in those areas was also not there. One of our ministers and 5 of our MLAs.
Yes, and in fact, we saw also the just an hour
night
ago
at about 11:30 to request the LG that look, our leaders, our MLAs from the ground are telling us that the police personnel are nowhere to be seen.
Right, but so that's a very important point. What are the police doing? But remember, yes, but we also had President Trump here, so 5,000 policemen on duty there. But I just want to, Raghav Chadha, I want to go across to other panelists. Mamta Kale, that same question. Why is the Prime Minister silent on what's happening in Delhi today? Why is the Home Minister silent, though he had a meeting Given the Prime Minister's charisma, his huge popular appeal, why hasn't he made an appeal to stop this violence?
First of all, I want to say, Sonia, that this whole protest and violence was very well timed out to sabotage the visit of President Trump. You know, which itself is very, very disappointing and sad, where one hand the Prime Minister of India is taking our nation to next level and trying to, you know, build good relationship with the US and other nations. This is what we are doing back home. The Honorable
But Mamta Kale, what is the evidence that 11 people are killed to spoil the visit?
To maintain peace and harmony.
But 11 people killed to spoil the visit. It was a BJP leader, a BJP candidate, Kapil Mishra, who is the one who made an inflammatory speech. Where is the evidence of a conspiracy to spoil the visit? 11 people are dead today.
No,
surely it's not a conspiracy.
No.
It's not a conspiracy
Sonia,
to make the Prime Minister look bad.
I would ask you, in that case, I would request you to talk about Mr. Amanatullah Khan, first of all, who started these hate speeches right from the beginning. Then please, you know, ask Mr. OVC as to how come that girl reached the stage which he was sharing and started chanting slogans.
Yes, but even a single FIR against Amanatullah. But Mamta Kale, Amanatullah Khan did not say anything.
Then we have heard all these Maulvis right from Nanded to Bihar saying
but
that
Mamta,
all of us
rather
have
than
to
going
come
into a
on
historical
road
thing
and
of it,
what
caused this clash? The question is what caused this clash and on what evidence you're saying conspiracy.
As far as Raghav is asking about Mr. Amanatullah Khan,
I'm not going to get into this back and forth on Amanatullah Khan versus Kapil Mishra.
Gone to Shaheen Bagh and say...
But the clashes are not in Shaheen Bagh. The clashes are not in Shaheen Bagh, Mamta Kale.
और इस मारने की शुरुआत शाहीन बाग से हो गई है.
But the clashes are not in Shaheen Bagh.
will help us. This is what he said.
But Mamta Kale, the clashes are not in Shaheen Bagh.
Going out and saying, Sonia,
anyway, I'm not going to get into the shouting match, Mamta Kale. I'm going to come back to you because we have to argue with logic.
The Deputy CM of Delhi saying, I'm scared of Delhi.
But
then
we have
he
to
should
argue
resign and go back wherever
we
he
have
has
to
come
argue
Delhi.
with logic.
I would request
there
him
are
to
no
do so
clashes in
because he can't
Shaheen
come on
Bagh
cameras
for
and
71
say
days.
that
Shaheen Bagh has
I
been
am very
peaceful.
scared.
Can I just go to Yogendra Yadav? Mamta Kale, Shaheen Bagh is peaceful. There will be no clashes in Shaheen Bagh. That contradicts the argument. But let me go to Yogendra Yadav here. Yogendra Yadav, what is happening in Delhi today? Does this remind you of the riots we've seen before in India, this new version of New India, and again a traditional riot playbook? The police look away, aren't there where they're needed, and then sometimes tacitly lend support. We know a policeman was also killed, and now the situation is being taken over by the police again. Do you think is happening? Should the army be called in today?
Absolutely, Sonia. I think we're sitting at such a delicate moment, such a dangerous moment in our nation's history. There should be some norms about how we discuss things on a day when 11 people have died, and we may be looking at much worse right now. I was young in 1984, but I have seen that in Delhi with my own eyes. And much of the footage that I saw through the day today reminded me of that. Let us, first of all, state very clearly that this conflict now violence in Delhi has entered stage 3. The day before yesterday, it was police versus protesters, some strong arm tactics by the police. Yesterday, it was two communities against each other. Both of them were violent in unequal measures, but both of them were injured, people were dead. But what we are witnessing today cannot be called communal violence. It cannot be called simple violence. It is an anti-Muslim riot. And the numbers that you have are 11. That's what the police officially says. The numbers being floated on social media are 35. We are unable to confirm that. But let's simply say the number seems to be going up. And what we have witnessed on the street of Delhi, just look at the image of a religious place, a mosque, you know, how it's being vandalized openly. Look at what's happening to your journalists. Look at general images of mobs roaming around freely. Just watch at the footage of police just watching passively. All this is classic playbook of 1984, which was played back in 2002. These things have not brought any credit to our country. In the 21st century, do we want to be known as a country which allows something like this to happen?
I think that's the
For me,
larger point.
Sonia, the point is not what happened today. My real fear, let me just note, my real fear is what might happen tonight. Mr. Trump would leave. The reports that I'm getting from various parts of Delhi is people freely roaming around, doing whatever they want to do. And I'm reminding Sonia of what happened on 31st November in Delhi. 30th of November, we had seen the kind of scenes that we saw in Delhi today. And 31st November, after Mrs. Gandhi's unfortunate assassination, that saw free for all. My real fear as we speak, Sonia, is not so much of what has happened today. It is tragic, it is very bad, but I fear much worse for tonight. I fear much worse for tomorrow. And why don't we see the army? Why don't we have shoot at sight orders? Why don't we have curfew?
Let me ask General, in fact, the police have just said there's no curfew anyway. Let me bring in retired Lieutenant General Raj Kadian on that point, because we've seen as the history books that both we've had ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh say the army should have been called in, lives would have been saved. We've had then Deputy Army Chief General Zamiruddin Shah say in Gujarat the army should have been called in, lives would have been saved. General Kadian, 11 lives gone today in Delhi. We don't know what final numbers, and tonight we don't know what will happen. Why isn't the army, which is India's premier security, the trust in the army is something which of course India cherishes. Why hasn't the army been called in yet? Do you think the police have lost control of the situation, whether it's tacitly or not? That's an allegation, but do you think the army needs to be called in?
Sonia, first let me express my anguish. Anybody who is indulging this or inciting this violence at a time when we have the foreign president in the capital has shamed the country and must be dealt with a very, very firm hand. Now, your question, can the army be called? It's for the government to decide. Army is
I'm asking, should they be called?
I don't think it should be, because there are 5,000 policemen, they are adequate. There is no armed rebellion there. They are stone pelting. The police is very capable of help. Army is last resort. Army is meant for external aggression and to defend the country from external aggression. But if we keep calling the army on every such incident, then the aura which makes the army effective in this situation will be lost. After all, the army man comes from the same background as the policeman. Policeman has the same weapon. Only thing is, give the policeman liberty. That anybody who is not obeying the orders, there is no question of firing in there, let him fire to injure.
Well, we've seen 11 dead, General Kadian. We've seen 11 dead of gunshot wounds, many of them. And in fact, now the question I want to ask again to my panelists, Raghav Chadha, I'll begin with you. We saw that during the election campaign, there's a very careful balancing act by AAP not to get drawn into contentious issues. Even yesterday, we saw many say, Arvind Kejriwal, why aren't you there? Just your presence there will send out a message to both sides. Is the whole balancing act to be not seen as pro-majority, pro-minority, or this whole majority versus minority politics hampering the political leaders of today from following and doing what is right?
Well, for the Chief Minister to visit the affected area, stand in the middle of the road in front of TV cameras is not going to solve the problem. The law enforcement agencies, fortunately or unfortunately, are with the union government. Article 239AA of the Indian Constitution in no uncertain terms says that law and order in Delhi as well as Delhi police are fairly and squarely subjects of administration of the union government, and the buck stops at the desk of the Minister of Home Affairs, that is Mr. Amit Shah. The law enforcement agencies are not under us, and therefore there is the civil administration that we can of course deploy, which we have already deployed in the affected region, number one. Number two, our Chief Minister has said this, and I would like to reiterate, and I would join him in saying this, that lives of people belonging to every religion, whether it's the Hindu religion or the Muslim religion, both are being lost. Whether it's the men in uniform or civilians, both are being injured, both have lost their lives. So therefore, a clash like this goes nowhere, it serves no purpose. And speaking of the workings of the Delhi police, of course, it is very clear, it is writ large that there is administrative laxity. The question is not about the ability of Delhi police to control a mob like this or control those who are indulging in acts of violence. It's about whether they are willing to do it or not. And therefore we say that rapid action force should have been deployed. No curfew, no arrest, no shoot at sight orders essentially embolden those who are who are perpetrators of violence like this. And therefore I say this to those who,
Yes.
the powers that be, those listening to me in the MHA, that please take cognizance of how serious this situation is. What Mr. Yadav says is absolutely right, that tomorrow this situation
I want to bring in Mamta Kale on that.
completely out of hand.
Mamta
and we would
Kale,
perhaps
why
not even have the time to bring in the army.
Mamta Kale, we know both the Prime Minister, as I said, has great popularity across India. Why isn't he making a public appeal for peace? Why hasn't the Prime Minister spoken yet on this and asked for peace? Why hasn't the Home Minister, a fiery orator during the Delhi campaign, why hasn't the Home Minister made an appeal for peace? And does the failure, the fact that 11 people are dead in Delhi, is a failure of law and order? Is that responsibility with the Home Minister?
I would say, I would request all those media houses who are actually, building a wrong narrative and has been doing this in the name of CAA would also act responsibly and, try and maintain peace and harmony in the country, not only in Delhi A. Secondly, RAF has been on ground zero. Number 3, shoot at sight, the orders have already been given. So there are a lot of corrective measures which has been taken. As far as Delhi police is concerned, they are very capable. They are doing their job. They are also not there to die. They have lost one of their constable. And by the way, he didn't die due to stone pelting. He was shot at. He died because of a gunshot. Also, 37 of them are injured.
And we salute his supreme sacrifice.
So we really
Sonia.
need to understand as
we
to what these rioters are doing.
Sacrifice made by the constable.
Of course, we have to understand what rioters are doing, but the question I asked you is very different, Mamta Kale. Nobody is condoning what rioters are doing. The question I'm asking you is, should the Prime Minister and the Home Minister not be making public appeals? Yogendra Yadav, final thoughts from you tonight on the game that all political parties, in a sense, because as I said, the response can be summed up as silence, prayers and tweets. The rest, Delhi can look after itself.
Sadly, the entire political establishment is not responding the way it should. As I said, today is not the day for blame game. I'm really worried about what might happen tonight. So I'll simply focus on that right now. Yes, Delhi police is capable. Yes, Delhi police has the strength. But does it have the will? Does it have clear instructions? The only reason why I mention army, normally army should be the last resort. And of course it is the last resort. But this is one institution in this country that can be trusted not to be partisan. Delhi police on ground today has been partisan. Yesterday it was partisan. And what we are witnessing is the beginning of something that can escalate 10 times more. Remember, this is exactly what happened in 1984. And if we have to learn anything from history, this evening is the time to clamp down with the maximum strength, effectiveness that you have. And this can prevent many, many more lives from being taken. And that's why my appeal, I think the chief, I've sat today for 3-4 hours in meeting of people who want peace in Delhi. We were getting inputs from all over Delhi. I did not hear any leader from any political party organizing any peace marches or organizing people together for preventing this thing.
Really, I think really, and that is why are journalists being asked to delete their footage? Why are they being asked to leave? That is also part of the playbook. You don't want to record, you don't want to show India and the world what's actually happening. And more worrying, tragic news coming in. Now the death toll has gone up to 13 people dead in the last 2 days, 8 more deaths reported today. These are people's fathers, sons, brothers. Head Constable Ratan Lal died in the line of duty, leaving behind 3 young children. Just some of the other people who've been killed, young all of them, one a marketing professional. We have here Shahid, 26, an auto rickshaw driver, died of gunshot injuries, post-mortem on. Rahul Singh Solanki, again, just 26 years old, died of gunshot wounds, a marketing professional, many of them the sole bread earners of their family. These are just some of the 13 people who've been killed. Mohammad Furqan died again in violence, a handicrafts businessman out to buy fruit for his family. These are the faces of what's happening in Delhi. These are the faces who are asking our political leaders to intervene. Ravish Ranjan reports from the horror that is GTB hospital, where dead bodies are being brought in, where families there, different religions, are united tonight in grief.
शाहिद नाम के एक शख्स की मौत हुई है मुस्तफाबाद में, उसके पेट में गोली लगी हुई है, उसके भाई हैं, वो अपने छोटे भाई की यहाँ पर मर्चरी में डेड बॉडी रखी हुई है, उसकी खोज खबर करने के लिए आए हैं। ये कैसे हादसा हुआ है, ये कैसे घटना हुआ?
वो ऑटो खड़ा करके आ रहा था पार्किंग में और वो घर जा रहा था, तो उधर ही दंगाइयों ने उसे पकड़ के और उसके पेट में गोली मार दी। हाँ।
तो कब यहाँ हॉस्पिटल में लेकर आए आप लोग?
हम रात को लेकर के आए थे उसे और इधर लाए तो उसे मृत घोषित कर दिया।
अच्छा, तो अभी डेड बॉडी मर्चरी में ही रखी है?
जी।
2 महीने से इनके प्रदर्शन चल रहे हैं शांतिपूर्वक। अरे प्रदर्शन लोग होते तरीके से लोग होते ऐसे कैसे आग लगा करके छोड़ करके कपिल मिश्रा अपने घर में घुस गया। अरे हम जैसों के बेटे खत्म,
गरीबों के बच्चे मर जाते हैं और कोई भी सुनवाई नहीं होती है, कुछ भी कहीं भी कहो कोई सुनता नहीं है किसी की।
एक तरफ राहुल सोलंकी का परिवार है, यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं कि रोना मचा हुआ है, और दूसरी तरफ शाहिद है, और शाहिद के जो भाई हैं उन्होंने अपना छोटा भाई खोया है। आपका भी छोटा भाई जो है मौत हुई?
साला है हमारा, वो
साला है। अच्छा, ये आप देखिए कि मर्चरी के मैं इस वक्त बाहर हूँ, हिंदू हो या मुसलमान हो, अपनों को हर किसी ने खोया है और सबका दुख बहुत बड़ा दुख है, क्योंकि जो शाहिद है उसके भी अभी 3 महीने पहले उसकी शादी हुई थी, 2 भाई हैं उसके, और जो राहुल सोलंकी है जिनके आपके फादर आप देख सकते हैं कि पीछे काफ़ी ज़्यादा दुखी हैं, रो रहे हैं। उनके 2 बेटे थे और जिसमें से एक राहुल सोलंकी की मौत हो चुकी है। तो मर्चरी के बाहर इस वक्त जो है वो काफ़ी चिंताजनक हालात हैं। हर एक चेहरा आप अगर यहाँ पर देखिए तो उन चेहरों में दुख है और गुस्सा है पुलिस प्रशासन के प्रति कि आखिर इतने घंटों तक कैसे ये बलवा जारी रह गया।